Apple just wrapped up their annual WWDC Worldwide Developers Conference, and if you're anything like me, you were probably a little disappointed. But despite that, we still got a bunch of new features for iOS 15 and iPadOS 15, a bunch of hot ticket items that we were all asking for, like spatial audio in FaceTime. So now if your friend is on the left side of the screen, they sound like they're coming from over here. And music in photo memories. And a new weather app that still isn't on the iPad. All right, look, again, it was a little disappointing, especially considering some of the rumors that we had leading up to it. There's one massive thing that's an absolute game changer that I don't even think Apple talked about in the keynote. Let's begin. So I've spent the greater part of, I don't know, 4 hours now installing iOS 15 Dev Beta 1 on my iPhone 12 Pro Max, an iPhone 12, and an iPhone SE. Just to like experience what's new, like, you know, did we really need a keynote for this? That's not the point. I wanted to play around with new software just to see if they left out any interesting features or left in any hints to upcoming features or upcoming products. I wanted to get my hands on it and do a little bit of digging. As I was scrolling through the preview page for the betas on Apple's website, I found something that I promise you no one was expecting. This is an iPhone 6S, and you guessed it, it's running iOS 15. This is an iPad Air 2, and it's running iPadOS 15. This is a phone that came out in 2015, 6 years ago, and it's still getting support. Native support, no less. You know how we were all shocked when iOS 12 came around and they said they'd still be supporting the iPhone 5S? Like 5 years after its launch? That was pretty monumental. Like no one in the industry came close to that. But here's Apple one-upping themselves again with 6 years of support on the iPhone 6S. Not bad. Now I've done a little bit of testing with it. This is not an in-depth review of iOS 15. This is just like my first 4 hours of playing around with it. It runs actually a lot smoother than I feel it should, especially for a device this old with this little processing power. I mean, it makes sense, right? There's nothing super major in iOS 15 over iOS 14, so it makes sense, you know? It's basically the same thing, but again, a new weather app. So it makes sense that it runs on older hardware. But where things get interesting is when we talk about the iPad. Now, yes, I'm sure we're all wildly disappointed over the lack of major improvements to iPadOS. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this 7-year-old tablet. This came out at the end of 2014, and it's going to be getting support through at least the end of 2022. I remember back when iOS 13 came out, I wasn't thinking that this was going to get support. That's why I bought the iPad Air 3. And it surprised me then. This thing runs iOS 13, 14, and now 15. How? Like, how do you do that? This is an A8X 3-core CPU with 2 gigs of RAM, and it runs full-fat iPadOS 15. Well, I mean, Dev Beta 1, there's not much here. It's more of, does the software run on the hardware? Then let's make sure all the features work. But that's not the point. The point is, it works 7 years later. You know, I woke up today thinking that, all right, so my test machines mainly for iOS 15 are probably gonna be, you know, the iPhone SE, maybe the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and my iPad Air 3. But now at the end of the day, I'm thinking I wanna start daily driving an iPhone 6S just to see what it's like. It might be a fun video to come back to in a couple months. Editor Jake, make note of that. Noted. But yet again, I'm still baffled at how well optimized Apple can make their software for this old of hardware. Look anywhere else in the industry. I will PayPal you $100 if you can find any company out there in the industry that supports their phones and tablets for this long. I will pay you money to do it. Well, I guess I won't be paying you money because you can't. Not even Google supports their own phones that long. Same thing with Samsung. This is a Galaxy S9. This thing came out 3 years ago and Samsung doesn't support it. So as the title says, the best newest feature for iPadOS and iOS 15 isn't a feature. It's just the fact that they can optimize it to run on this old of hardware. Why won't you die? But I have my MacBook over here, just finished updating to Cheese OS. Probably have a video coming on that probably later this week or maybe next week. I'm gonna mess around with iPadOS and iOS 15 a little more before I make a video on it. I just wanted to point this out because I haven't seen anyone talking about this, and I know nobody saw this coming going into today. This was not on my Apple event bingo board. Holding an iPad Air 2 running iOS 15, that was not something I thought would happen today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, tell me if you're updating to the beta or if you're gonna stay vanilla iOS. Either way, let me know down in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.